We've got a guest to come on to speak to today. It's a guest that is obviously easy for me to organise because part of the family. But more than that, it's a guest that I think would be really good because he's actually, believe it or not, stood in your shoes. So the guest today is going to be Nick Pope. A background. So Nick is a fairly local lad to us at Needham. He first played for Ipswich as a young boy, got released, then went to Bury Town. Obviously, similar scheme to ours. Went on the college scheme, very much similar to what you are all doing. Then went on to sign for Charlton. From Charlton, he went on loan to York and Bury, not the Bury Town, the Bury up north, and then got his move to Burnley. And obviously, from there, got in Burnley's first team, and then obviously done well enough to represent England. So obviously, my question, and it's one that I'm really interested in, to be fair, because obviously you was let go from Ipswich at a young age. What was that rejection like? Because I know a lot of lads that were at pro clubs and get that first rejection and basically fall away and don't really go back into football. It knocked them that hard. So that's my question. What was that rejection like? And how did you end up at Bury Town on the scheme that our students were on, really? Because a lot of players that get let go by clubs do the rounds of clubs and don't generally go on college schemes. What was the rejection like and how did you end up at Bury Town?
Yeah, it's pretty easy there. Obviously, getting released into being somewhere for 5 years is not ideal at times. So just felt like I wasn't really enjoying my football, so I wanted to get back to that really. So academy system was quite intense and really structured. I wanted to do something completely different. So yeah, it coincided with me being 16 and starting kind of GCSE level or finishing GCSEs to going into like 16, 17. So I just wanted to check everything at the same school for kind of 6, 7 years. Kind of worked really well to, leave school and go to college where I didn't know anyone, and obviously join kind of a new football setup as well because it still allowed me to train every day at a good level. Obviously change education and meet new people. So it kind of allowed me to restart and it gave me a good platform to kind of learn and to grow as a person and go meet new people and do new coaches as well.
Yeah, it's interesting for me. Like obviously, to have a football career, you have to have ability, which obviously you've got. But I think, and a bit of luck. I think I speak to a lot of players that I played with, and I include myself in that, where you need to be in the right place at the right time. But the big thing, looking at for me, for how well you've done, obviously your ability, but for me, from the rejection, it must be elite mindset. It must be being strong-minded to bounce back and do as well as you did. So do you think that was natural for you to have that mindset, or was it something that you learned to do where you dropped down and then wanted to progress?
I think I think probably I learned how comfortable I was in the academy setup because I've been there so long. It's not a great place to learn when your mindset's comfortable and you're used to having great facilities and used to having good coaching and going there 3-4 times a week and playing against good opposition on the weekend. Obviously, we were like category 1 at Ipswich, so we'd play against Arsenal, Tottenham, like all the decent teams in the south. So probably just got a little bit too comfortable and needed kind of the to get released, to have the realization of I've got to be better. Basically, I'm not good enough. So kind of that was a bit of the drive as well. Just be told not enough by someone, so then try and prove them wrong.
How did you find your education program?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, kind of worked around the football, which was kind of ideal for me, and then just a new start because I was used to being at school where you learn everything in all different subjects, and I obviously got a diploma in business marketing, so it's more kind of specialised, but something I enjoyed doing. I think college is a lot more than school or sixth form as well. I think that suited me. But yeah, it's something that I enjoyed and something I look forward to.
So am I right in saying that you did the BTEC course, Nick?
Yeah.
And what did you enjoy about that the most, if anything, of course?
I think just learning something that's more specialised that I could see kind of taking myself into kind of future career, I think was more interesting than, just generic kind of science, English and maths that you'd learn at school. I I think I found that interesting that it was a subject I'd kind of selected, personally, about what I found interesting. So I think you always learn better when it's something you're actually interested in.
I take it you still had the desire to be a professional footballer. What was your backup plan if that didn't happen?
When I got to kind of 19, I thought I missed the boat, to be honest, about football. So I kind of wasn't really too worried about that, which is pretty good. Not too stressed, or you're not too highly strung on being a professional footballer. So it kind of released that, and you just go out and enjoy your football. I'm really competitive anyway, so I always wanted to win, whether that's training or games. Always wanted to train hard, and I never missed a training session or a game for any reason really over 3 years. So I think that drive was always there within, but the fact that I got to that age, I kind of thought professionally was kind of the chances were really small. So my backup plan was my plan at the time, was to go to university. I got accepted into Nottingham. So, like you say about the luck thing, right place, right time. I got accepted into Nottingham in March to go the following September. But I went on trial at Charlton in that April, and then they offered me in, not quite soon after. So it was literally months before going to university.
What piece of advice would you give our students currently?
Work hard, whatever you do, whether that's in your education, and enjoy yourself. I think when you're in yourself, you've got that freedom to show yourself that picture in the classroom. And it's work hard. I think I've always been kind of brought up to be competitive, and whether that's train how you play. I think that's a big thing, and a big reason kind of how I've kind of travelled this far on my journey is giving up every day. I think that was ingrained into me since I was little.
You've never been little, Nick, have you?
Main things. When I was little, so even if you think you might take a different path in your education, to have something solid behind you, you can't lose. You can't lose by giving all your effort into it.
Obviously, we've got students whose aspirations are to go on a similar journey that you went on and get opportunities and take them. Could you just give a little bit of an insight to the guys, what it's like to be a Premier League footballer and what it was like to get called up for England?
It's all obviously well and good now. I've obviously been at a Premier League club. You get great facilities. You play with great players. You play against great players. Obviously, to get called out of England was amazing to do that, and to be able to get my first cap. Something I never could have dreamed of. So to get there and then have all your family and friends watching was unbelievable. But I think it's even better, obviously, because of the journey I've come on, really. And it's something that I dreamed of when I was kind of a kid, up from 8 years old or younger. To even when I was 16, I got released. That's still my one thing that I wanted to do. So to be able to do it now is unreal, really. And I wouldn't really rather do anything else. There's nothing else I'd rather do. So
I think it's good for the students to actually listen in on that answer, because again, for me, it goes back to mindset. Nick spoke about always working as hard as you can, having that mindset in whatever you do, and that's an unbelievable trait to have, and I'm sure that's had a big point. And I talk about the luck and fate, whatever. I'm a big believer in that. I was lucky enough to have a dad that really supported me, which was my bit of luck, really, I suppose. I think I haven't told you, Nick's got an older brother, and there's no doubt that his elder brother probably put him in goal at a young age and smashed shots at him. Just then little moments, it's chance, it's fate, which must have helped him at a young age, having an older brother smash heavy leather footballs at you. So these light Premier League footballs must be a breeze, Nick.
What was it like signing your first professional contract?
Yeah, amazing. To be honest, the money was pretty horrific, but it didn't really matter to me. It was kind of a foot in the door, and an opportunity. So like I say, we talk about luck and fate, but you got to take your opportunities when you get them. And I felt like this was a second chance for myself after getting released to get back in professional football. So it was amazing to get that phone call to say, we want to give you a 2-year contract and see how you develop. So yeah, that was a massive moment in my career and my life, really. Yeah.
Who would you say the hardest player you played against was? It's the hardest to save shots.
It's probably me in the back garden, Dylan.
Oh yeah, that's probably true.
Probably I was going to say in games as well. Harry Kane's finishing's different level. different level to anything I've ever seen. Like consistency, how accurate he is, yeah, it's pretty frightening. So I'd say obviously him, so I've seen more up close. Aguero as well, he's pretty sharp. So I'd say them to a cut above.
What would you say your highlight is of playing Premier League football?
I think my full debut were, I believe, I think when you make one appearance in the Premier League, you know, you're a Premier League player for life. I think that's kind of that was always my goal since signing for Burnley, was to make a Premier League debut. So we beat Crystal Palace at home 1-0. I came on first half, that was my first actual game, and then a week later we were away at Anfield, so that was my full debut, and we managed to nick a draw. So that was a really important week, and also, yeah, probably one of the biggest moments of my career. And then probably just, you know, beating the big teams. Like we won at Old Trafford last year 2-0. That was unreal. Fans were in the ground then as well. I think that makes it also even better.
I was going to ask, what's a day in the life of you, Nick? Like training and everything like that.
Yeah, so I normally get to training 9 in the morning, 9:30. Have breakfast at the club. It's a bit obviously skew at the minute with, you know, the coronavirus and stuff. So day slightly altered a little bit. Some weeks you go in, you're not allowed to eat at the training ground, and some weeks you are. But normally it'd be 10 o'clock, have breakfast at the training ground, go and feel in the gym and do kind of some, you know, work before training, whether, you know, you're carrying an injury or you just want to kind of do some activation work. We'll probably train for an hour and a half. An hour will be with my goal coach, doing kind of goalkeeper specific things, and then we'll, you know, nearly always end with 30 minutes again, which would be, you know, kind of shooting, crossing shooting drills, or end of the game, whether guided or small-sided. We've got kind of hot and cold pools that you can use to help your body recover. So going then quite a lot. Have some lunch at the ground as well, which is good. Stops me cooking, so that's a bonus. Go home, and look after yourself in the evening. I think what you do off the pitch is massively important. You know, how you look after yourself, not only because you keep yourself in the best shape. I think, you know, you leave a good impression on people, and you show that you care. If you come in, your body fat's 15-20%, but you might be playing well for a few weeks, but, you know, how do you really care about football in your own career if you're letting your body get that sort of shape? So I think what you do off the pitch is important. Same as Kev will know about this. You know, you come in the next day when you're a player and you're hungover, or, you know, you've had a late night playing.
Whoa! Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. I'll tell you what I've just realised. In all that, a day in the life of Nick Pope is not mentioned once about playing table tennis with the lads. But once mentioned FIFA. But once mentioned spending about an hour and a half in the gulag. Is Shannon in the room, mate? I promise I won't tell her. I promise I won't tell her.
So I think what you do off the pitch is important.
When you were growing up, who did you look up to?
No one. He's 6'7".
Goalkeeper wise, like in the Premier sort of era, was kind of P-Check. Obviously similar heights himself, as always. Really enjoyable in play. Edwin van der Sar as well. Obviously top goalie. And then obviously close to home, like I say, my brother was kind of 4 years older than me and a goalkeeper, so he kind of they'd all played to some ranges, so he still played at a level, and he was someone that I always watched growing up and could speak to about goalkeeping and stuff. So there'll be the few people that I looked up to and I'd watch play.
Do you have a favourite ground to play at?
Anfield, because I haven't lost it yet. If I say worst ground, I'd say Etihad, because we must be like my aggregate score there must be frightening. For myself, I didn't play at Wembley until late last year, so that was a massive ambition of mine. I kind of played my England debut at Ellen Road, and played away fixtures from London, and I got to a playoff semi-final with York and didn't get to Wembley. So yeah, really glad to tick that one off, and yeah, I think that's just an iconic sport. Yeah.
Did you ever think you wouldn't make it?
Yeah, a few times, yeah. Obviously, a lot of the time, really, before I got to kind of Charlton, even when I was Charlton, obviously, you're never sure. Even if you get a professional contract at that age, the percentages are still pretty low. And the people I used to play with, and being kind of half are playing, you know, football, some half are probably not playing at all. You know? And then I went on loan a couple of times. Once to Aldershot, I went to Aldershot 6 weeks. And if you ask the Aldershot manager if I was going to make it, then he'd have probably said definitely not. It was a tough 6 weeks in my career. So yeah, you have to go through bad moments as goalkeepers or an outfield player. You're going to make mistakes, and you're going to have bad games and bad spells of form. That's part and parcel of it, really. And the sooner you realise that, the better. That no one goes through their career and is a 9 out of 10 every week. So it's about, you got to learn and condition yourself to deal with that. I think that's a massive thing for a goalkeeper or a player.
I think a big thing from that is, and for the students, and I know we're talking football, but Nick was prepared to take that step back and go on loan. A lot of footballers don't. They turn their nose up at it and stay where they are. I think to take a step back and go to a smaller club and learn your trade as such is a big thing in whatever you do, not just football.
Yeah, that was a massive thing for me, just going on loan. And even though I knew if I went on loan, my first loan in the Ryman Prem to Harrow Borough, I knew if I didn't, I know whether I done really well or really bad. If I done really well, I was never going to get in Charlton's team, being in League One. The difference is too big. So you go there to prove yourself and kind of try and earn that move to the next level.
Is it like hard to not let the media get to you as a team and as a player?
Yeah, I think I was fortunate, although the media and stuff is a lot more in the Premier League. Being a Burnley player is different, probably because you're not in the media as much. The high profile lads. So I don't know if that's the way I look at it. If you're a Man United player, if you lose a game, it's tough to go to the shops or tough to go out to a restaurant. So I think I see myself quite lucky in that regard, that I'm not really kind of hounded by that. I think that is a big part of football nowadays with social media and the amount of stick you can get on there and the amount of negative comments that you could get. And if I'm totally honest, if I have a bit of a stinker or don't think I played well, I won't even look. I think that's kind of how I deal with it, because it's not going to be good. So why put yourself through it?
Yeah, I was just going to quickly ask, how much do fans have an influence on your performance when you play like away grounds or when you're at home? How much do they impact how you play, or how if your performance is affected by it?
It's not sure. It's massively changed the game. Obviously not as enjoyable for any players. When you win a game and you're used to, you might maybe held on 1-0 and used to a roar, or you're used to, high level of noise when you score a goal and there's nothing. Obviously on TV, you get a bit of crowd noise, so you kind of think something's happening. But if you're in the ground, it's just, a few of the lads making noise and a couple off the bench. It's pretty quiet. It's quite bizarre. And, it might be a massive goal or a massive moment in the game, and it's just silent. So it's strange. It's probably tough to say how it affects teams or myself personally. I think I've kind of got a bit used to it now. Obviously, having done it for probably kind of 30 games or so with the end of last season and this season, you kind of, you get used to it. I think some people might struggle kind of motivation-wise, not having, some people gain more energy from the crowd. Maybe I'm not sure if being an outfield player maybe is a bit different. Helps motivate you that way. And on the other side of the coin, I think some people, crumble in front of the pressure and crumble in front of, their own fans maybe getting on them, or the opposition fans, giving them stick. So in that regard, it's probably helped some players.
I like Charlie in the text box. Nick, will you join the market when you retire? Let me tell you now, if I'm still here, we will sign Nick when he retires. We're probably only about to have him for maybe about a minute, if I'm totally honest, so we can afford him. But it's something I'll certainly try and do if I'm still about.
That's a few years off, yeah, eh?
When you thought like you weren't going to make it, what did you do to like motivate yourself, and how did you like keep yourself motivated to keep going? Really,
I think a little bit fear of not making it motivates you. I think that kept me going of wanting to make it that bad, and what kind of, like I said earlier, it stood me in good stead was, I was working hard, was that motivated me to, or gave me a grounding to do well in training. Like, every day that I got home, I'd done my gym work and I'd, done extra after training. So I thought I was giving myself the best chance possible by doing everything I could. For a goalkeeper, you always, or for anyone actually, you always got to be ready, because one day the phone might ring and you've got to go on loan to, League Two or the conference, and you might have to play in 48 hours or 24 hours sometimes. So you've always got to be ready for that opportunity. Whether you're ready or not, if you'll get judged on that Saturday by people watching. And like I say, the opinion of them people is massively important. Whether that's a scout watching a game, or staff on the other team, or staff on your team. You play well against someone that sticks in their mind, or if someone asks for an opinion of you, that's what's important. Especially lower down the leagues where there's less scouting, I'd say. So people ring up and ask opinions for if they've played against you. That's a massive part of it.
That's a good answer in terms of someone's always watching, and it's sort of. And I have thought about it. You've had unbelievable games against Liverpool. How Klopp hasn't put in a bid for you yet is beyond me. It seems every time he must be fed up with you.
Do you think that Sean Dyche has a big impact on the way you, as a team or as a player, go out and play?
Yeah, 100%. Whoever the manager is, you have to play it, or you do. You have to play to their style and their beliefs. And obviously, someone like him who's even been in the job as long as he has and had the success that he has, earns respect in itself. So, yeah, you expect certain things from every player, whether strikers, midfielders, defence, goalkeeper. He expects certain things. And he knows what he wants. So, yeah, it does have an impact on how you play, and what he wants for the team, and his beliefs in how to get results, which only benefits us. As a team, you want to be all pulling in the same direction and all on the same page, so you know what each others are doing. So yeah, it's massively important to believe in the manager, and the manager to believe in you.
Do you think you can get a friendly organised, Burnley against Needham Market?
I don't know if I've got that much power, to be honest. Do you think
we want tougher friendlies than that anyway, Charlie? We want to test ourselves, mate.
Did you find it hard to adapt to the Premier League lifestyle?
Yeah, obviously it's a level up. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, the Championship's a good level, but the Premier League. But in the same vein, you have to make your debut at some point at every level. So, whether I failed or I succeeded, I wanted to, do it my way. I wanted to, try and have an influence on the game. I think you can get to some levels, or you play with some players and you're on the pitch and they just, try and survive, and they just want to try and get through the game without making mistakes, or without, doing certain things. That a lot of people can just survive, and if you just survive, you're playing within yourself. Whereas if you play freedom and play trying to affect the game in a positive manner, and free of fear of making mistakes, freedom. Although you might make mistakes doing that, you might make mistakes playing within yourself and playing scared almost, or like playing to survive, like I said. So I wanted to take the Premier League on. I just saw it as a massive opportunity. The goalkeeper had just gone on his shoulder, and I've all of a sudden got 35 teams ahead of me in the Premier League a chance to literally make my career.
Just on that, adjusting, Nick, was it difficult or a relief, like adjusting from like a Vauxhall Quarter 1.0 to top of the range sports cars with more room?
My course was 1.2, mate. Yeah, there's some perks to the job.
How important is your family network to keep you grounded from, when you're a Premier League footballer and people are speaking highly of you and potentially England's #1 keeper, etc.?
Yeah, I think obviously moving away from home as well. I think it's you've got to have that people around you that not only when you win 1-0 at Anfield, you get 1,000 text messages, but you lose 5-0 away at City, you'd be surprised that you get less. So there's always.
I'll definitely send you one if you lose 5-0 at City, mate. Let me tell you.
So it's definitely important to have that that stable kind of life. I think off the pitch, think for a goalkeeper as well, you never want to be too high, you never want to be too low. You want to be consistently, level-headed and grounded. A lot of the time things are never as bad as you think, and they're probably never as good as you think either. So it's important to always have that in mind.
So obviously there's rumours, and I'm hearing it's fact that a certain Kevin Horlock absolutely smashed you at tennis. Have you got any plans to resurrect your tennis career? Obviously, Kevin's not received any messages about playing, or is that your tennis career finished?
It's a tough sport, isn't it? So I kind of remember in the last summer there was a table tennis match that kind of went the other way. So I'll take
Whoa! Really? I'm
Yeah,
sure I've got
that's
video
it.
footage of that table tennis
Right, we'll
match.
see you later then, yeah.